Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to the first episode of Bee and Puppycat. So yeah, this is our first reaction to Bee and Puppycat. Now, as I said in the reveal video and everything yesterday, I have seen a couple episodes of this before, only maybe two. But it's been since 2015 when I saw them, because in 2015 I had actually moved to New Jersey for a short period of time, only a couple weeks, because it was going to be permanent, but things didn't work out. But during that time, I was suggested by my friend who I was staying with to check it out, and I did. But again, I only watched a couple episodes, so I never really got fully into it. But I remember I did enjoy it to a point, but I just don't remember much of anything about it at this point. To be fair, it's been 4 years, so yeah, it's hard to remember too much of big detail from that when I never really got into the show at that time. All I can really remember is that I guess there's this girl named Bee, and she takes in this Puppycat, who I think is just a cat who sometimes acts like a dog. I think that's where the name came from or something. I might be wrong on that, so yeah. Again, it's been years. And I think they go on adventures or something like that. I think Puppycat's able to talk. I don't remember if she has any reaction to that or anything, if it's a big deal or not. I don't know. But again, I don't know all these details. I have heard, though, that there's this first season, which is 10 episodes long, and apparently there is going to be a second season coming out this year. And the episodes are going to be full length this time, because the episodes in this first season, these 10 episodes, are basically shorts. They're basically they're longer shorts, but they're still shorts. They're not very long at all. They're super quick. So yeah, they'll be easy to get through in that way. For the time being, we are going to only do one at a time. Not necessarily because we have to save time or anything, but rather they are so short, I just don't want to get through them too quickly. I want this to at least go on for a few weeks, you know? So we're going to do one at a time for now. If we choose to increase that at any point, we will, but we'll figure that out as we go. But yeah, I'm excited to see what we've got for this. I'm excited to see exactly what it's like. It's a really popular one, and it won the poll by a good margin. So yeah, again, I don't know exactly what to expect, but I'm hoping that it's pretty damn good. We're just going to get this started, though, and find out. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, this is very short. It's done in kind of this short style, even, where it doesn't feel like a full episode. It just feels like a part of an episode, or a short. This didn't feel like a first episode. It didn't really explain much. It just kind of threw us in there. But I mean, Adventure Time did the same thing, to be fair. So we have this this girl named Bee. I'm not entirely sure how old she's supposed to be, but I think she might be very young adult, just got off on her own and everything. At least she seems to live alone from what we can tell. So she has we presume, cat named Puppycat, who smells like a dog. And speaks through these weird little sounds that no one but B can understand. So Puppycat, personality-wise, is very destructive, self-serving, and a little bit of an asshole. Also very selfish, too. But not in an unlikable way. Like, all of those traits can be done, obviously, in a very unlikable way, making the character come off as really terrible, especially considering this is a character we're supposed to like. I think the reason why it comes off is... I wouldn't say that Puppycat is likable, but the reason why, I guess he isn't unlikable is because, honestly, he's a cat. Again, presumably. And cats are known for being kind of little assholes, let's be honest. Our cat here, Tessa, who you'll probably never see in a video because she's always hiding for the most part. When she does come out, it's either to meow at someone to get her food or to eat the food or go to the litter box. But she's kind of in that stage where she's just old and lazy and doesn't really interact with anyone or want to interact with anyone. Most of the time, she's just hiding and sleeping. I think she's even at this point too old to even really be an asshole anymore. But when she was young, she was rambunctious as fuck. She would run around and cause trouble all the time. But either way, yeah, a lot of cats. It's an ongoing joke even online that a lot of cats tend to be kind of little assholes, knocking things over, causing a mess and everything. And it's like it's even if it's not always true, which it definitely isn't, because of the joke and how it's just become this like cultural thing. Yeah, it works for this series, which is clearly set up to be very comedic. B, personality-wise, seems to be very nice, very fun-loving. Seems to be a little bit antisocial outside of friends. At least that's what I got from the entire shopping thing. Like, she's like talking about how it's best to go shopping at night because then there's less people around and stuff. The way she said it and everything made it seem like she's not super sociable. But in terms of her friends, she's very comfortable around them. She's also a little weird, and I say that in a completely good way. She's a little weird. She seems to have almost no filter, at least around her friends, and is extremely just unique in the way she acts, the way she thinks, the things she does. She's also very, very, like, what's the word for it? Not outgoing, but very, energetic, I guess you could say. Constantly running around, constantly getting excited, constantly, like, having these big, over-the-top reactions that really makes her pop as a character. She just really comes across as a fun, entertaining lead. The other characters, I cannot think of their name. I assume they're brother and sister. They definitely have that kind of relationship, it seems. My initial thought was maybe they're together, but then it started to evolve into more of a sibling kind of bond. But I mean, who knows? Well, I mean, you guys probably do, but I don't. And then the ending where, like, oh, get us a part-time job, and I'll use the extra money to get you a leather jacket and let you have the rest of it and stuff, because they need to get the one ingredient they don't have. I think I remember that from before, from like when I watched this back in 2015. I think I remember something about these part-time jobs being some kind of magical thing Puppycat could do, like get them to go on these grand intergalactic adventures or something. And I guess completing them gave them money. I guess. I don't remember all the details, but I think I remember that now, that was a thing. One thing to note is that with this first episode, again, it doesn't really feel like one. And it's just kind of throwing us in, so I'm wondering if one of these future episodes is going to explain, like, how B found Puppycat and all of that jazz. Now, these episodes are, I guess, all of them are around this length. Let me look that up real quick. Just to make sure and all. I don't mind if they all are. It doesn't really matter that much to me. Okay, the entire season of episodes 1 through 10 on YouTube apparently is an hour long. Let me see. Okay, also this says that B is 22 years old. Okay, so I was kind of right. A little older than I was exactly thinking. And yeah, Deckard and Cass are brother and sister. Oh, and Cass is voiced by Ashley Birch. Nice. I'm not looking up all the other big information. I just wanted to kind of know that little bit of stuff. Oh, okay, so this was the first episode, but apparently there was an episode 0 as well that I completely missed. Because this series first aired in 2014, in late 2014. But in July of 2013, there was a pilot that explained everything. And, of course, when I looked... When I downloaded the episode, I just downloaded the first episode, so I didn't know about any pilot. It didn't list like an episode 0 on the in the listings. It just started with episode 1. And yeah, I have heard that apparently there is. I mentioned the second season and everything, so apparently that's coming as well. Let me check something here real quick. Okay, so there are two listings on Kim Cartoon. There's season 1, in which I did download the first episode, and then there's a short, which is probably the episode 0, the one I missed. So let me try to get to that real quick. Oh yeah, that says 2013. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to react to the short next week instead of episode 2. I know it's out of order. I would have done it this week too, but at this point it is getting a little late because I did have to take care of something between recording my pre-thoughts and my and the actual reaction. So by the time I would get it downloaded and everything, unless I can find it on YouTube. And then I could just splice it into the reaction itself. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube real quick. If you are seeing this like after the reaction and that is spliced into the reaction, that's going to be interesting. Yeah, let me go to YouTube real quick. Okay, I assume this is it? Because this says parts 1 and 2, and I know that came as a 2-parter. Let me just scroll through to see if I recognize. Okay, that's different for sure. And this came out August of 2013, which would mean it is, well, at least it was put up on here on that. So yeah, that would be it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, and you're going to already have seen this by the time you're watching these afterthoughts, but yeah, you're going to see this, my reaction to that spliced in before my reaction to episode 1. And then you're going to see, after this, I'm going to splice in a second afterthoughts. So, see you all in a second here. Okay, we're back. I just recorded the reaction part to the pilot, to episode 0, as I'll call it. And yeah, that explained a lot more. That was very helpful. I should have watched. If I really wish I had known they were in the right. That existed. But the thing is, I think I've seen that before. I think that's what I saw before of the series. I think I saw the pilot. I don't think I ever saw any of the actual episodes, because, I don't know. Just the concept of a lot of that just felt very familiar, especially the casserole scene with Deckard. So yeah, that explained a lot. So first of all, Deckard and Cass definitely got to be brother and sister at this point, because Deckard and B definitely seem to have a mutual interest in each other. So I doubt that she's a wife. The fact that he's living with her implies probably family at that point, or at least just friends and roommates, which is very possible. But considering they also kind of look like each other, I'm thinking, well, actually, no, I know it's family now. What am I saying? Yeah, I'm sorry, I've gotten all scrambled up because of the order of this all. In between, well, doing the react, when I did the first part of this, these afterthoughts, yeah, I did see that they were brother and sister. Like I said, I'm all scrambled up because of this. But yeah, these temp jobs that they're doing, definitely what I was thinking from the first episode. They're definitely yeah, just these fun little adventure jobs, but also a lot more intense than I thought. Like the Wallace thing, also the Wallace just in his fish form, I guess, was very familiar to me. Yeah, I definitely think this is what I had seen back in 2015. But I did not remember that monster. That thing was fucking terrifying. Like, shit. And then B just, instead of using the sword as a sword, just severed its tongue with her teeth. What the fuck? What the fuck, B? And they defeated it by having Puppycat shoot a laser. By cocking his tail. Alright, why the fuck not? I've seen the design, just in general, of B's, I guess, mission outfit, just very often, actually. It's something I have seen before, and it's adorable. Even notwithstanding having seen this before, presumably. I really wish we saw more cosplays of that. Like, I don't think at least to my knowledge, I have never seen any cosplays of B. And for sure, I have never gotten any photos for my cosplay folders of the character. Which really sucks, because that is a really cosplayable look. Like, seriously. I can imagine so many great cosplays for that. But yeah, so B, we find out, was fired from her job, I guess, at a pet store, and then rummaged through the trash to get Puppycat some stuff after finding him, who just kind of dropped out of the sky, out of this portal, onto her head while she was waiting for the light to turn. And so, I guess the way they're getting by at this point is by doing these odd jobs. Now, it didn't say how much money they got from that job, so I'm curious about that, like how much they get from that, because presumably they need to be getting enough money to be able for her to pay her rent. Whether this is a house or more likely, from what I could tell, one-bedroom apartment, which she doesn't even seem to use. She sleeps on the couch. But yeah, it's probably a one-bedroom apartment. Either way, they still got to pay for that. She's got to pay to get food. I don't know if the apartment has its own laundry. Some don't, so she might have to pay for that. And there's a lot of other things that would have to cover. So it's hard to say, and honestly, like, from the first episode, it's hard to say exactly how much time passed between the pilot and the first episode. So it's unclear on how many jobs she's been doing with Puppycat and stuff as well. Now, we also get this kind of backstory for Puppycat from what we can tell. From all we can tell, that was his backstory. So apparently, Puppycat was at one time this outlaw, which technically would count him as a criminal. From what seemed like it would be like some kind of like medieval fantasy kind of world. He fell in love with the princess, but when they decided to run away together, it ended up being a trap, and the princess had actually betrayed him. I mean, presumably it was all a trap in the first place. Did he say, well, like, what the reason for the trap or whatnot was? I don't remember. Like, I remember he mentioned, like, let me see here. Princess had lied, and the outlaw was surrounded by the warlocks. So he was going to be captured. That's all it says here. So why were they trying to capture him? Why did the princess betray him? And why was this a trap? Was it because he was an outlaw? Because it was just a way for him to be the only way to get him vulnerable enough to be caught? Maybe he was a good outlaw, like a really skilled one who was unable to be caught. And so the princess was kind of used for this purpose in order to trick him. That's the only thing I could think of. So we see that the warlocks use this magic crystal that's supposed to capture him, probably using some kind of magical, like, paralysis or binding spell or something like that. But instead, it turns him into, I guess, Puppycat, what he refers to as a monster. Which is actually pretty sad. Not that he was turned into Puppycat, but the fact that he views that as monstrous. The fact that he views it as something horrible and disgusting. That says a lot about his self-image, and actually really weaves this interesting little character moment for him at the end, when you see him staring out the window and you see the reflection of the outlaw. It's actually this really, like, deep moment that shows that he, well, one, it does kind of confirm that the story was about him, and two, it shows that this has actually really affected him. And I've heard these kinds of stories before, of course, where you have this kind of character who's been transformed, and they kind of have to live with it, and they end up having to humble themselves. They go through a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of humbling, usually with the help of someone. I mean, you see it all the time. Princess and the Frog with Prince Naveen and Tiana. You have Beauty and the Beast is a huge example, with Prince Adam being turned into the Beast. You see this kind of thing all the time, where these less than satisfactory people are turned into monsters or animals or whatnot, as kind of this way to, as kind of like, not really revenge, but a punishment for their actions or words. And the only thing they can do from that point is learn to get better. And with someone's help, they eventually do. And as I mentioned in my thoughts on episode 1, Puppycat seems to be kind of a little bit of an asshole. Very selfish, very self-centered, very, just, how do I put it? very much of a wild troublemaker who kind of wants to be um, his own, for lack of a better word, person. Um, and you also see in this how he kind of like holds this story in as well. He, like when B asked him, like, "Oh, is that story that you told Wallace really true?" He refuses to answer her because I think I don't I feel like he told the story in the first place because it's like, one, it's something that he was just trying to pass off as a story, and two, I think he might have wanted to get it off his chest at the same time. This is definitely a character who, though, has potential to grow. He has potential to start to mature a little bit as well. Considering his, again, I talked about it when I talked about episode 1, I was kind of like passing off all that asshole stuff that he was doing as, oh, it's a cat thing. But with this, it's actually a lot more interesting than that. It's a lot more fascinating. And so it comes across as less of just, oh, it's a cat thing, and more along the lines of, this is someone who basically was cursed. And that they need to take the opportunity to better themselves because of it. And that's fascinating. That's even though this kind of plot's been done many, many times, it's usually a really good plot point. It's usually done well. It was done well in Beauty and the Beast, it was done well in Princess and the Frog, and so on and so forth. I've always really liked that. It's a really good idea, and it tends to work out most of the time. So I don't know if we'll ever get any actual like payoff for this. With this kind of series, from what I can tell so far, it's not going to be super story based, but I really would hope we will. Again, we are getting a second season years and years after the first season aired. The first season, the first 10 episodes aired in 2014. Season 2 is now only coming 2019, 5 years later. So it's like, yeah, that's a long time. And who knows, with full-length episodes this time, maybe we will go more into that story. Or maybe it goes more into it in this first season. Who knows? I definitely would love to see more of that. Either way, even though I watched these out of order and got all jumbled up with it, I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the first episode. I enjoyed the pilot. Both were really good. Both were enjoyable. Bee is fucking adorable. Seriously, I love her already. But I do want to hear what you think. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of the pilot and the first episode of Bee and Puppycat. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, also, no spoilers, please. No spoilers for anything that's coming up in the future of this season, or what might be coming for Season 2. Thank you so much for tuning in, though, and thank you so much for getting through this confusing order of things. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.
And though you've come through many obstacles,